So this is the part 2 of my boosting for gold in Classic WoW video, so if you haven't seen the first one, I would highly suggest you do so, as that functions as an introduction to boosting for gold, while this video is a little bit more advanced and introduces a way to build upon strategies used in the first video. I will leave a card to the other video in the top right corner right now, so go check that one out if you haven't already. In this video, we'll cover how you can use the dungeon boosting to make hundreds and maybe even thousands of gold, and you can actually earn up to 200 gold per hour, maybe even more if you are on the right server and you're doing the right dungeons with enough skill. In this video, we will also cover Scarlet Monastery again, but introducing a new strategy which we didn't cover in the main video, that will literally double the amount of gold potential from SM boosting, which means you can actually make 160 to 200 gold per hour just by boosting Scarlet Monastery. We will also talk about Maraudon boosting and the possibility of Stratholme and Skullman's boosting. So first off, we have Scarlet Monastery. In the last video we talked about Cathedral, showing you how you could execute that dungeon in the best possible way, while talking about the gold making potential. You can basically charge up to 4 people a fee to boost them through the dungeon, killing only trash mobs to give the boosties experience. You are basically selling a power leveling service. On top of this, you will also be able to loot the mobs yourself, so the more mobs you kill per hour, the more raw gold you'll get, and the more dungeons you do per hour, the more gold you'll get from the boosties. This is where it gets tricky, because you can technically only do 5 dungeons per hour. However, SM Cathedral and Armory shares a lockout, so you can clear Cathedral, then clear Armory, then reset both dungeons, and it only counts as you having done 1 dungeon. This means you can do 5 Cathedral runs and 5 Armory runs in 1 hour if you're fast enough. Even if you're not fast enough, 4 runs of each per hour is still really decent gold per hour. Let's just break down the math. Let's say you charge each person 5 gold per run, which seems to be the average. That is 20 gold per Cathedral run and 20 gold per Armory run, if you have 4 people in your group. If you then do 4 runs of each per hour, that's 160 gold per hour only from selling boosts. And then you can add any looted gold or items on top of that as well. The amount of gold you'll get from looting will be heavily dependent on RNG, but it's mostly going to be vendor value, and you'll want to evaluate which items you want to keep and sell, since time is money and going to sell stuff takes time. Set yourself a minimum, let's say 1 gold, and anything worth less than 1 gold you throw away, while anything worth more than 1 gold you keep and sell later. So if you're actually able to do 5 runs of Cathedral and Armory in 1 hour, which technically is 10 runs per hour, so 6 minutes per run, you will literally make 200 gold per hour only from selling boosts, and then add any looted gold or items on top of that as well. Doing 5 runs of each dungeon per hour will take practice, but it's actually doable. In fact, Arleus or Og, whose footage is in the background, has a record of 8 minutes and 12 seconds on doing both Armory and Cathedral, and he doesn't even have raiding gear, so it is most definitely doable, even more so if you actually have gear as well. Like I said, it will take some practice and some trial and error, but eventually you will be able to do it while sleeping or blindfolded and make easy gold. If you have any questions about farming Scarlet Monastery or dungeon boosting in general, I would recommend you check out Arleus or Og's channel, which will be linked in the description below. As a little side note, when doing both SM Cathedral and Armory in 9 minutes total, you accumulate roughly 100k experience per hour for the ones you're boosting, meaning it's a very fast leveling method as well. For comparison, when people were doing dungeon grinding themselves back at launch, a perfect AoE group would get between 40k and 75k experience per hour, 75k being the absolute high end with people who knew what they were doing, had practiced beforehand and were in voice comms for easy communication. So this boosting method is by far the best experience per hour known to most of the community. I say most of the community because there could be some hidden super leveling method that is actually better, but I doubt it. If you loot all the mobs by yourself, SM Cath is also an additional 4 to 5 gold liquid, just from looting the mobs, as well as tons of cloth, which means you can auction them, and greens you can vendor or disenchant for even more gold. SM Armory is an additional 2 to 3 gold liquid, as well as other items like the ones we just mentioned. So, for each run of SM Cath and Armory, if you have 4 people in a group buying boosts at 5 gold per run, that's 20 gold from Cathedral plus the 4 to 5 gold liquid, so 24 to 25 gold, and 20 gold from Armory plus the 2 to 3 gold liquid, so that's 22 to 23 gold, which means you're making 46 to 48 gold per reset. On top of that, you will also have cloth you can auction and greens you can sell or disenchant, as well as grey items you can also sell. You can also allow the people you're boosting to loot the mobs themselves and maybe charge them a little extra for it. It's a win-win since looting all the mobs by yourself will take time, and time is money. Next up is Maraudon. In Maraudon, you basically have the people you're boosting run into the purple instance while you go back and use the scepter to get into the portal. From there you run up and grab the snakes, then kite through the orange side of Mara and over to purple side, grabbing every mob possible except a couple of mobs that are either too slow or will kill you, like the turtles which are slow, or bosses, or other mobs that hit very hard. Once you have all the mobs following you, you'll want to make your way all the way back to the purple entrance before killing them. Once there, you have this hill where you can pretty much bug out the mobs and kill them without taking any damage, at least from melee mobs. You stand on the hill until the mobs get up the hill, then jump on this pillar, causing the mobs to go back down the hill again, and once they're down the hill, you can just jump back on top of the hill, and so on. Basically, you just keep jumping back and forth, casting a blizzard or 2 before jumping. Make sure you keep certain shields up, as there are ranged imps that will keep on hitting you. If you find them annoying, you might want to focus DPS on them first, but if you line of sight them, they will also start moving up the hill, and then you can catch them in your blizzard with the other mobs, which is the strategy I would recommend. The experience from this is roughly 20 to 25% of a level per run, and you can do 4 to 5 runs per hour depending on practice, movement speed and chance, and how fast you can get back to the orange side after resetting, and so on. Based on my own and my friend's experience, 4 runs per hour seems to be the best we can do at the moment, but I'll say 4 to 5 because I wouldn't be surprised if somebody finds a way to do 5 runs per hour very soon. This is the best dungeon for power leveling from 40 to 52 if you ask me, because it is very easy and you literally just have to run from A to B then blizzard down enemies. It can be difficult in the beginning due to figuring out the route inside the dungeon and how to do the jumps, but if you watch a stream before or during your first run, showing you how to execute the strategy, it will be much easier. You can also find random blue items like Blazing Emblem, which is like 20 to 40 gold due to its resistance on the use effect, as well as its static resistance stat, making it an item wanted by both raiders and PvPers. You can also find otherworld drops which you can sell on the auction house, and it's in the perfect range for level 49 twinks, and just people trying to enhance their alt in general, so there's a lot of gold to be made from the random drops here as well. Since it is also such a high level dungeon, you can potentially charge more than 5 or 10 gold per run per person as well, but that will depend on your server and how many other people are selling boost runs inside Maraudon. I would say that Mara is a nice change from SM boosting, and boosting the same dungeon over and over again will get tedious over time, so simply switching the scenery will be good. One good thing about Maraudon is that you can also make some decent gold without selling boosts as well. Simply looting the mobs will yield nice rewards due to the level of the mobs. You can find greens to vendor for 1 to 2 gold, you can loot some grey weapons and sell those, and you can loot some cloth as well. Basically, Maraudon offers more gold from killing the mobs but less gold from selling boosts, while SM or Scarlet Monastery offers less gold from killing the mobs but more gold from selling boosts. So it's all about which server you play on and how much time you want to put into finding people willing to buy boosts from you. So in my last video I mentioned the stockades, and therefore in this video I will mention Shadowfang Keep. The main part of these videos is to help you guys and to make you aware of the possibilities you have, as well as give you multiple different options when it comes to making gold. When it comes to dungeon boosting, the other dungeons we covered in this video kinda requires you watching your health pool, making sure you pull the right amount of mobs and don't die, and basically it just requires effort. Shadowfang Keep requires far less effort, and you can actually just run in, pull as many mobs as you want and kill them and loot them. It's also good because you can potentially find items like Shadowfang and Assassin's Blade, both worth over 100 gold on most realms because they are in the best in slot level 19 twink weapons, as well as you can find other insane items used by level 19 twinks. Another reason I mentioned this dungeon is because most of your customers will be people leveling an alt, and they will therefore have a couple of gold left over on their main that they send to their alt to level their alt. And since Scarlet Monastery, Sulfaric and Maraudon all require a character above level 30, it's good to have a dungeon to boost for lower levels as well, since some people will want to get to level 30 as fast as possible with putting in as little effort as possible, aka buying boosts. These levels are also where questing is most boring because some classes still only have a couple of their abilities. You feel kinda weak, and questing can even be difficult for some classes like rogues and warriors. I've also seen a couple of mages on my server selling duo boosting in Scholomance and Stratholme, where they pull as many trash mobs as possible and kill them. Having 2 mages here is really strong, and you're able to pull this off at a quick rate, and by having 2 mages instead of 1, you have less risk of dying involved as well, meaning it's pretty consistently safe pulls and good experience per hour for the ones buying boosts. This is perfect for the higher level ranges, let's say 55 to 60, to help people do that final push to max level. Also, because the dungeons are meant for higher levels, having a level 60 or 2 doesn't give any diminishing returns for the people buying the boosts, like it would have in lower level dungeons, so having 2 mages instead of 1 is actually just a good thing. The negative thing about having 2 boosters instead of 1 is that you can only have 3 people in your party that are buying boosts, and you will have to split the gold income in half. That being said, being 2 people means you can clear the mobs faster, you can kill more mobs per hour, and you don't need to use any profession items like iron grenades or engineering stuff to keep yourself alive. And even though it may yield less gold per hour purely from boosting, this is a high level dungeon, and you will get lots of cloth that you can auction, greens to vendor and rares, and maybe even world epics as well if you're lucky. I'm not gonna mention any gold per hour on this, since it depends on how much you can sell the boosts for, and how efficiently you can do the runs, and also this is something I might cover more if I make a part 3, since people are constantly testing out new strategies and obtain better gear, making boosting higher level dungeons easier and more accessible to more players. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some mages doing lower Blackrock Spires soon, which could be very good experience per hour and also good gold per hour. So to end this video off, I would like to ask you, are you selling dungeon runs, and if you are, which dungeons are you running and how much are you charging per boost? I think it's interesting to see how prices vary from server to server, so I'm really interested to see how much these boosts are selling for on your server. If you don't want to tell me exactly which server you are on, just say if it's a high pop, low pop or medium population server, and whether or not it's a PvP server, since I think that also impacts the price. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a part 3, and which dungeons I should cover if I do make a part 3. Should I go more in-depth on the dungeons themselves, or do you like this kind of video format? If you want to interact with me when I'm not uploading videos, join my Discord channel, which is linked down below. I am online every single day answering direct messages and also messages in the Discord channel itself. I'm trying to make the Discord channel a WoW community where we can help each other make as much gold as possible in whatever version of the game we're playing. Make sure you smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, as it really helps my channel out, and it helps me determine what type of videos you guys want me to make in the future. Subscribe to see more videos like this one, and click the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.